to the business. Means back to the trenches. You ain't even got a mention. I got vision. I got vision. Means back to the business. Means back to the trenches. You ain't even got a mention. I got vision. I got vision. I got vision. What? I got vision. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Self-Made Sports Network's Friday Night Live series. I am coming to you from the Self-Made Sound Studios, as you can see up here up top, as well as being brought to you always by Hybrid Promotions, which you can see down here at the bottom. I am joined once again by my man, JT, Uncle Juice, and coming back again this week, we got Young Bakes. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? What's your forecast looking into the weekend, and how was your month of February, considering this is the last day of February that we get to talk?
I just wanted to point out that you pointed to the wrong corner when talking about the Self-Made Studios.
Well, it's up here for me.
Nope.
So.
Nope. Other side.
Nope. You don't get no mulligan. Get no mulligan.
It's over here.
All right. Well, now we know better this time. It's on the left.
This man asks a lot of loaded questions. I'm gonna chill with the kids. Probably grill out tomorrow before it starts getting cold and get some snow in the city. Just keep it chill, man.
Uncle Juice is back. My nephew Caden is here. Shout out little KK. My man Beans. He got here on Wednesday, so I just left from spending time with him, spending time with my other nieces and nephews, and gonna get on the podcast tomorrow. I got my godson's birthday party, so just being super Uncle Juice this month.
Yeah.
Also, shout out my
Congratulations.
niece Sierra from North High School. They won their senior game. I got there, it was like 72-14. They was beating the brakes off them girls.
Hey, yeah, congratulations, by the way, on the new arrival to the family.
He already got his Niner drip. His dad wants him to be a Giants fan, but we don't do that here.
JT, how you doing tonight?
Little Giants, we can do that. Grown-up Giants, no.
I'm doing good. Just enjoying a nice weather day. Got into the 60s here in the capital city, and I just received word that our alma mater, the Urbandale Jayhawks, are advancing to the sub-state finals.
No shit, huh? How about that?
Seems like
breaking news.
Seems like they're getting it back together there in the South Gym. So let's see if our boys can make it to state.
I would have liked a little heads up. I could have put a little breaking news graphic out there for you.
Oh yeah, this was hot off the presses.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Hot and fresh out the kitchen.
Hey, so I guess we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into it tonight. I want to talk Cyclones first, coming off of that unimpressive, kind of impressive stretch to end their kind of 4-game surge throughout the season this year. They beat Utah 75-59. Milan Momcilovic comes through, breaks the school record for 3-pointers in a season. He's still on pace for the 50-50-90 club. He's essentially a lock for the 50-40-90 club, but still on pace for the 50-50-90. JT, Bakes and Juice, I just kind of want to get your guys' kind of catch your pulse on what you're seeing from this team right now. I know they got a big game coming up against Texas Tech this weekend. I'm just kind of curious as to what you guys are kind of seeing and hearing, what you got out there for feelers right now.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to that Utah game, I guess you just got to be happy that they didn't get tripped up. It's kind of one of those tweener games where they had the big game against BYU, and then of course they got the the big game on the other side of it against Texas Tech. So, like you said, we had talked about it in the moment. It's just kind of one of those sleepy victories. You'll take whatever you can get. I was pretty impressed that I was kind of surprised that loss to BYU didn't really seem to affect their ranking that much. It's almost like that. It's almost like the AP voters were asleep when that happened. So,
Yeah.
we got a big matchup against a kind of hobbled Texas Tech team. So hopefully they can.
Well, we looked at the schedule a month ago and we seen that, they were coming to a rough spot in the schedule. So I kind of seemed like you were kind of thinking that the sky was going to fall. But, them boys started off good. They got a lot of momentum. BYU, I feel like they've been a little overrated in all the sports, but it seems like their athletic program is starting to come up in football and basketball. But when you got a guy who can get 50 and 40, like when you got guys on your team that can play stats like that, you can be in it in any game. It's just a thing of once y'all get down, you have to mentally be prepared to get back into the game. I think Iowa State's got a really good team. Y'all boys play really hard, and y'all go out there and play with confidence. It's just when they take a loss, you just can't take it like, oh, the sky is falling. Like everybody gonna take a loss, especially the closer you get to March. It's just if you taking them losses, you want them to be close and not blowouts.
Yeah, Biggs. I want to hear kind of your takeaway on that. We'll get into Nebraska here in a little bit, which they've kind of gone through the same stretch. But I like to see the way that they've responded here the last couple of weeks. Getting back to Iowa State, it is kind of, Juice, you make a really great point. You can't get down on losses when they happen, but in the moment when certain losses go down, they can kind of feel like season deflating losses. And JT, you and I know all well enough about what happens when you go to Arizona with your season potentially being on the line. And if you want to talk about the most deflating shot in the history of college basketball, I think that shot probably is at least in the top 10, if maybe not the top 5 from Caleb Love last year. So I do understand not trying to get too down on yourself. And you make a really good point, Juice, with saying not to kind of feel sorry for yourself. When you play well and you still end up losing, it's when you don't show up, and that's when I feel like you kind of really figure out who your team is, because like you said, every day is not your day, but you're definitely going to have moments that are better than others. Bix, I'm just kind of curious as to hear what your thoughts are on the potential turnaround for both of these teams, especially as we're getting now into the beginning of March.
Most definitely. Your team is a great team. They proved it day in, day out. Everyone's going to take a L. Sometimes you lose to a team you're not supposed to lose to. Sometimes you beat teams that you are supposed to lose to. I just like the fact that when you guys lost to BYU, you guys came right back, and that's just very, very important to get the guys together, understand what we're
Absolutely.
doing, to go out there, play hard, D up, make transitions, knock down your free throws. Mom Chilovich out there stroking it, you know what I'm saying, with the 3-pointers. You threw out a lot of figures with the 40, 40, 50s and 50, 50, 80s, or I don't know what you're talking about personally,
Yep.
but I know that boy is good. Season started off slow. He's letting it fly. Everything seems to be going in. That hoop is as big as a hula hoop for him. The way he's swishing these threes. So you guys are well coached. You guys are very, very gritty in transition defense. I'm not worried about Iowa State. I know when your team loses, Slim, you take it extremely personal. I understand it. You're very, very passionate. You know what I'm saying? You love your team. You've got a lot of passion for your team. We've been to championship games together. We watched multiple games
Yes.
together. You're always yelling at the TV.
Yes.
You might be up by 17. You're still yelling at the TV.
Yes.
So I know you take losses a little more serious than most people, but in order to be a great winner, you have to learn to take a loss. You have to, because if you don't know how to lose, you'll never learn how to win.
Yeah, JT, with that, I kind of want to ask you about the Bateman surge that we've seen here recently, and then maybe kind of give me your thoughts on the Momchilovich slump we've seen over here the last couple weeks. I can almost guarantee you I know what your answer is going to be on that, but I'm curious to see what you feel like that's going to look like going forward.
Well, I do think it's important to show that you can still perform when Momchilovich isn't at the top of his game. You want to
Yes.
have at least somebody that can hit the 3-pointer. Both kind
Yes.
of maybe if he goes cold in the NCAA tournament, or of course, like we talked about before, it seems like that if Momchilovich does decide to go pro after this year, you'd have Bateman there that would kind of step into that same role. So yeah, I think it's great that Bateman's been able to show out a little bit. I think it's kind of what they need. They have continued that they're going to get good production out of guys outside of that big three. Obviously, you've got Bateman showing out. You had Heisey hits a huge shot, and then Buchanan continues to have a solid showing. So yeah, I think it's great, both in the short term and the long term.
What do you feel about Plata getting the start? I know there was a lot of kind of humbug around why Buchanan didn't start. It sounds like it might have been an injury thing. I think the one thing that kind of stood out to me was the very first play of the game was a designed play for Plata to try and get him going early, which I think says more about what they're trying to do than what they want to be.
Yeah, and I think Otzelberger was quoted after the game. I think it sounds like it was just like a migraine issue with Buchanan. So I think it was kind of much
Yeah.
ado about nothing with Plata being in the lineup. Essentially it sounded like that Buchanan was dealing with some headaches and kind of a game time decision situation, and obviously didn't want to put the pressure on him. Wanted to let Buchanan feel like he could ease himself in, and he certainly did. So it was nice to see him out there. But yeah, again, I mean, I guess I'm going to kind of say the same thing about Bateman and Momchilovich that I'm going to say about Plata and Buchanan, where it's just nice to have that redundancy, to have that backup.
Absolutely.
It's you always know any basketball team is at risk of having their big man getting into foul trouble. So
Yep.
to know that you can put that kid out there and you're not going to lose much of a step. He's not quite as efficient around the rim. He'll miss a bunny every now and again, but more often than not, it's pretty solid production out of a freshman big man in the Big 12.
Yeah, I look at it
I
like
would.
this, Roberts. When you got role players coming in the game, they're just looking for opportunity, especially getting close to tournament time. Uh, it's just really, really good to see those guys really step up and put in their best efforts and try to make a name for themselves. When you go out there and you make shots and you play hard defense, you're going to get more minutes, and that's what it's about with the role players.
Yeah, and those guys are truly making an impact at this point. Even I mean, you could even argue that guys like Buchanan and Torre are also role players to a certain extent. Um, so you can excuse me. You can also say that high quality from those guys is also kind of like changing the entire aspect of the game, and it's it's really changing the way that they can operate, and it's also opening the floor for another 3 or 4 guys per night. So you get your guys like a Bateman, you get your guys like a Heisey potentially, you get your guys like a Plata that can get a start point, and that's the first guy you go to. that can build the entire night, and it's those type of guys that can take a lot of pressure off of your big three, more or less.
That's the
And
exact point that I wanted to make. Like when you got your
yeah,
sixth man, your seventh man, your eighth man, it's this close to March. They're getting in here. They're getting some playing time. Like you want that because you're gonna need that because the later you get into March, the more you have to deal with injuries. And if basketball and football is different when it comes to next man up. In basketball, when it comes to next man up, your next man up might be scoring 2 points a game, and now you expecting him to score 20.
yeah, you know what I
So
mean?
if you can get that man some ticks before March, and your big man goes down, and he didn't got a few ticks in some real game time situations, you might not be as stifled when you have to start dealing with injuries. Because right now, at this point, I want my team to have the two H's. I want them to be hungry. I want them to be healthy. And if your team has got them two H's going into March, you got a chance to win it.
Yeah, I think yeah, just like you said, having some extra guys take some extra reps is man. I'm over here stuttering coming into March like the your worst favorite two seed right now. As we're coming into this. Yeah, it's really crucial to have a couple guys that can, come off the bench, like you said, that can actually produce something rather than just minutes taken up off of the court, and not take anything else up off of that, and then to also provide positive minutes on the court as well.
Yeah, you don't want dudes just out there just taking up, you just basically out there to catch fouls. Like, yeah, you can catch three, four fouls, but yeah, could you do something? Could you give me a couple rebounds? You throw a block in there?
Right.
Like, do something pivotal, man. Anybody can just sit on the court and sit there and stink. Like, you gonna do anything when you get the ball?
Yeah, I really don't got much else other on Iowa State, other than I guess I will give the updated Ken Palm rankings going into tomorrow, Saturday, February 28th. They currently sit at number 7 overall, number 18 on offense, number 7 on defense. As you remember earlier, if you've been paying attention or following us, 31-21 is kind of the number you want to look for a Final Four team or a national champion. Iowa State is clearly firmly in that spot. JT, before we move on, I am kind of curious as to, I don't want to look ahead of Tech on Saturday by any means, but just kind of the Arizona game going into Big Monday after, kind of their second top 15 spot they got to play in back-to-back days. This time not being a home and home, but a home on the road.
Yeah, I mean it's a critical stretch, especially really just for kind of the last thing to play for is for seeding. Really, if they kind of went out here, I think they would lock in that number one seed. I think at this point they're pretty safely in at least on the 2 line, especially with Purdue losing to Michigan State yesterday
Yep.
or the night before. I don't remember which one. So I think at least they're at the point where they'll stay at that 2 line, barring like a really bad lot, like if they lose to Arizona State or something like that. But if things go at least like average, like realistic, I think they're at least locked into that 2 spot.
Bakes and Juice, I'm really kind of curious as to what you guys see for their March look ahead. I know they came out last week with the committee came out with their initial seeding line. Iowa State came out as a 1. I want to say Nebraska came out as like a mid 3. we'll get into the Huskers here in a little bit. I know, obviously, they lost to BYU on Saturday night. I'm just kind of curious as to what the outside eye looks like, looking at this team right now and seeing what they potentially have sitting ahead of them.
You guys got Arizona late, right? Before
We got Arizona next Monday night, so they play Texas Tech this Saturday at home, and then they play Arizona. That would be Monday night. God, that's got to be a late game, right, JT? I think
it's at
that
8.
game tips off. I think it tips off at 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's an 8 o'clock game.
Yeah, I
Monday
think
the
if you guys
2nd.
could beat Arizona, I think that will solidify you most definitely as the number 1 seed. I see both our teams being in the top 3 seeds. Nebraska doesn't get as much credit as Iowa State, maybe because of scheduling or just how things played out through the year. But I don't really care if you're number 1 or if you're number 3 or if you're number 7. Man, you're in the tournament, and that's what the goal is. So,
Right.
Yeah, once
Cheers.
you get in the tournament, man, you just gotta play, man. Like 1 seed, 3 seed, all that. That's trivial, man. You in the tournament, you gotta focus on your opponent, start watching game tape, and get ready to go. We've had a phenomenal season. One thing I will say about this team, anytime I get ready to judge them on something that I'm watching them do it, they immediately start to clean it up in real time. I'll be like, y'all taking too many threes. All of a sudden, they'll scale back on the threes. Y'all not playing defense enough. They'll tighten up on the defense. Y'all not doing this. They'll figure it out. Like they constantly are evolving and thinking and trying to change, and you can see them start to evolve as a team the more they grow. Now, like losing to BYU, like I said, BYU has kind of got a crazy program right now. They're on the scale going up in football and basketball, but I think it's gonna be a minute till they become like a perennial somebody that we talk about. But we got good players on the team. Our boys is playing with confidence. And really, I'm just hoping if we can get to Sweet 16, I'd be cool with it. But really, just one win in the tournament, just to get the monkey off our back. Like, I think that confidence can roll into some other things, but we got to play one game at a time. We can't focus on the tournament. We can't focus on the seed. We got to focus on the next opponent. We got to focus on being hungry and staying healthy. And if
Yeah.
we do those things, we'll get to the tournament and everything will just play out the way it's supposed to. But both teams coming out the Midwest, they not gonna get the respect that they feel like they deserve because so much of the eye is on the South or Kansas or any of the perennial teams that typically do this. But like I told people a couple years ago, with the NIL, the playing field is gonna even itself out because you're gonna have people playing for money and you have people who got talent who don't need the money. And that's gonna play out on both sides. So I just hope my boys stay hungry, stay healthy, and we at least get one win in this tournament. I really would like an Elite Eight, but I'd be cool with a Sweet 16 or just getting the monkey off our back.
Yeah, JT, he makes a really good point that I kind of want to ask you about is what do you see as like a success for this season for this team? Is it reaching another Sweet 16? Is it an Elite Eight? Is that not enough? Is it a Final Four? Clearly, we could all shoot for the moon and hope for a championship, but does it? Where do you draw the line of a successful season and a season that just kind of barely hit the mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're still talking about Iowa State, right? I think we got to at least get to a Sweet 16, just kind of as a bare minimum. Now, when it comes to like Sweet 16, Elite Eight, I think I think you're starting to split hairs a little bit because one important thing to remember is that the difference between a Sweet 16 and an Elite Eight is basically just like one day of joy because you play your Sweet 16 game, you got the day off, then you play your Elite Eight game the next day. So it's not, you don't get a whole lot of time to enjoy the Elite Eight. So
Excellent point.
it'll feel
Yeah,
kind of
that's a
hollow.
horrible point, but a great point at the same time. Because if you win, then you get to enjoy it. But if you lose, it's whatever. But if you win again, then it's like, okay, we got to regroup again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get
So
back
I
to
mean,
business no matter what.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I think you got to at least get to a Sweet 16. I mean, I guess at this point, you really, it feels weird saying this, but at this point, I think you got to get to a Final Four. I mean, that's just kind of what it is. If you're going to be a 1 seed, and
I would agree with you. I think
you've really been a top
you
10
have to
team.
prove it.
Yeah, I think the 1 seed puts a different amount of pressure on y'all now. Like
Yeah.
us being the 3 seed, it kind of lets us it gives us room to slack off, which I'm hoping that the boys don't do. But with that number 1 seed, like you at least got to get out the first round. You don't want to be the 1 seed who loses to the bottom seed, and that
Well,
pressure alone can swallow you up.
Yeah, it seems a little
uh,
pedantic. You know what I'm saying? The big showing of a number 1 seed, and they mess around and get popped by a mid-major that just barely made the tournament. Yeah, we don't want to see that for any team.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the good news for Iowa State after their loss this past week to BYU is they have almost officially fallen off that 1 seed line, so they're back in the 2 seed conversation. The one thing I will say, to use this as kind of a bridge and then also a break, is there's a good chance that Iowa State and Nebraska could end up in the same region as a 2 and a 3 seed, or a 2 and a 1, or potentially a 3 and a 4, depending on how far they fall. I don't believe that will happen, but I want to use this moment at this point to bridge the gap, to kind of pay some bills to our sponsors. Bakes, I'm going to let you go ahead and take over here. Before you do, I do want to preface, I apologize for not being able to get graphics inundated for the show this week. So we're just going to kind of have to go off vibes.
All right. Well, this episode of Friday Night Live is brought to you by Hybrid Promotions, also by Self-Made the Label Music and OTT Records. Just follow us on selfmadethelabelhybrid.com for all your apparel needs, for all of our tour dates, our show dates. We have tons of pictures. We have tons of new merch popping up daily. Shout out to the young man who purchased a hybrid jersey earlier today. That was pretty dope. That'll be out to him in about a week and a half. We're just doing some cool stuff, man, and we do a lot for the community, a lot of charity work. If you guys like our episodes, make sure you comment, make sure you like and subscribe. Gives us more content, gives us more ideas to keep pushing forward. So shout out to you guys, and thank you for everything you do for us here at Friday Night Live.
Yes, absolutely. We appreciate you guys that even tune in for even half a second. Any view, any sort of comment, any sort of reaction, we appreciate anything you can give us to help us make this show a little better, a little more entertaining. Kind of moving into the more entertainment side of this deal here right now with the Huskers. You go ahead and tell me what you think, Uncle Juice, right now about the Huskers and what the outlook is coming in here with this last 3-game stretch with Iowa coming into Pinnacle Bank to put an encapsulation on this season for them, at least in the regular season.
I mean, I live in Iowa, sadly, and we just hate Iowa so much. Like, we just really want to beat them in anything, like basketball, football, baseball, tiddlywinks. We don't give a damn, man. Just beat Iowa. We hate these dudes. They have terrible corn, and they just not on the level with us. Like, Iowa never wins anything, but they brag like they're Alabama. It's so annoying to me. and my boys is out here, and we playing good. You know, we out here. We trying to do it. We trying to get tournament ready. They shoot a few too many threes, but if we can get our rebounding together, that's the real thing. We can't continue to get offensive rebound. We have to play hard in trenches, but the way that we are going into the tournament, I think that we're exactly where we need to be. I think we might have one more loss on the record before we get to the tournament, but honestly, I would rather have that loss before the tournament than getting into the tournament. So we play hard all year. We played focused. We played good basketball. Everybody was ready to throw Hoiberg out, and he was a terrible coach and this and that. And he just showed you his NBA pedigree with the performance that he's putting on down in Pinnacle this year. So I think sometimes you got to trust the process. Now you can't trust the process if you live in Philadelphia, but if you live elsewhere, you can trust the process. People will get put in places that they need to be to do what they need to do. I never thought Nebraska would be in this position really in the majority of my lifetime. We just Nebraska basketball is just not a thing that is something that gets promoted as high value around here. But when we got Hoiberg, I was like, he's gonna bring an NBA pedigree to college basketball, and that's what we need. Sometimes you just need, somebody with that professional touch to come in because with the way college basketball and college sports in general is, kind of need a dude who's been in the NBA or the NFL to come in and balance in between pro sports and amateur sports. But I think going into the tournament, we looking fresh, hoping we stay healthy. And like I said, one or two wins in the tournament, I'd be good with it. I know some people have higher expectations of us, but I think you just got to be realistic. We're a 3 seed, one or two wins in the tournament, and then build that in the next year, getting back to some key
Absolutely.
players, get some players to come back.
Yeah, Bakes. Juice just made a bunch of good points. I'm kind of curious to how you feel about the 3 and 4 in February. And to be clear, Nebraska is clearly on the 3 seed line right now, fighting for a 2 seed, depending on how their tournament run ends up. Kind of more in an Iowa State-ish 3 and 4 here in February. But I'm with you, Juice. I'm very bullish on the Huskers right now. If you look at their numbers and you look at what they've put up, they are a sneaky Elite Eight team, or at least a sneaky Sweet 16 team. Fuck whatever a record says or whatever they got going on. They are the second best team in the Big Ten right now. They have an absolute shot at making a deep run in March. Bakes, I'm just kind of curious as to where you stand on the look of them going ahead here, leading into the last 3 games of the regular season.
I think everything's looking pretty good, man. Like I said, I don't really care about seeding. We're going to the tournament. That's undeniable. When we get to the tournament,
We just
we
gotta
just got to
play
play.
ball, man. If you worry about being a number one seed, you're gonna forget about just being successful at basketball because you want to chase these numbers or chase this and that. Let's just get the W. Like to me, like 1 seed, 3 seed, 2 seed, 5 seed, man, we're gonna be in there. And I think that is a beautiful thing in itself. With all the coaching changes and with Hoiberg having his stint and just really like getting these guys together, recruiting well, getting graduated transfers over. Um, his system's working. It may have been a slow burn at first, but we're opening fire. We're
Absolutely.
out there on all cylinders. The loss to Iowa, obviously, it was a little dramatic for all Husker fans because Iowa doesn't know how to win the game and just like, all right, man, we appreciate you guys, giving us
Well, hold
good
on, but
competition.
but hold on. I want to cut you off there, and I do also want to say that Iowa fans clearly have no grace of winning a basketball game against a basketball team that matters, because the fact that you have to cut into the handshake line and throw a phone into the face of a guy that I would call a legendary college basketball coach at this point, and Fred Hoiberg. I would like for anyone to come after me that say that he's not at this point.
His nickname is the Mayor, so he's obviously
well, and he's also had well-documented kind of heart battles with his heart. That's why he retired from the NBA. That's why he stopped wearing a tie at Iowa State for a while. There was, before he went to the NBA, there was a questionary period where he might have to basically retire from coaching the Clones because they weren't sure his heart was going to be able to hold up. And then to hear the reports afterwards that he, the electromagnetics of phones, depending on whatever vibes they might give out. Vibes is not the right word. So if you want to go ahead and destroy me for that. Yeah, he's got a pacemaker. So like any sort of electrical defibrillator, like electrodes or whatever you want to call it. I'm not the doctor,
He can't
but
be around the microwave, bro.
yeah, so if you're going to throw a phone in this dude's face and then you're going to try and make yourself the victim because you threw a phone in the opposing coach's face and he slapped it out of your hands, like that's almost the ultimate bitch-made move in my life that I can imagine.
Yeah, I'm not saying the man should have been arrested, but he should not be allowed in any other games going forward. For the simple fact is he don't know how to act. I understand when you win and you win against a program that is supposed to win the game, and we end up.
Yeah, it's a great win.
And,
it's a great win for your program, and then you just went ahead and just smeared it across the ground.
Classless, the way he did, that was almost borderline disgusting
Yeah.
to see.
JT, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this, because I know you've watched a lot of classless reactions.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough moment for Iowa. I think it was kind of. I don't think it was intended to go this way, but if you look at the video, one of Iowa's kind of graduate manager, Sam Hawley, it looks like he kind of escorts the guy into the handshake line there. So yeah, I think. I guess really where I was impressed, and I hate to give the University of Iowa credit, I really do, but I thought that they handled it really well. They kind of owned the situation. They didn't put, even though Hoiberg
Yes, I
reacted
will
pretty
agree. I will
emotionally,
agree with that 100%.
I think that their statement was right on and kind of understood why the coaches reacted that way and basically owned up to it. So it was a tough moment for that fan, but I was pretty impressed with how it was handled and how the university kind of dealt with the situation.
Juice, I know you got something you want to say. Give me 2 seconds here, and the floor is yours. Go ahead, baby.
It's hard to be a gracious winner, but it's even harder to be a humble loser. Like, and I've seen this so much in sports. I really want to say like 2010, 2015 to now, where like people, when you lose a game, you're supposed to shake the other team's hand, man. Like both y'all went out there and competed. You know what I'm saying? Everybody came out healthy, and
Mm-hmm.
we competed against one another. You shake hands, you say good game, and you go in the locker room and you can soak or you can cheer or do whatever you want. But this lack of sportsmanship in sports is really starting to piss me off because I got little nieces and nephews and stuff that's coming up, and when they get done, go over there and shake that man's hand because y'all competed and y'all did this as young boys or as men, and everybody's out here trying hard. But for you to be like throwing cell phones and not shaking hands, like, come on, man. Like, don't be a scumbag just because you won, bro. Like, you can be a gracious winner, you can be a humble loser, man. And people got to realize that. At the end of the day, it's sports, man. You getting played to do a child's game. So let's not act like a child when you lose. Everybody gets
Hey,
butt hurt, but you ain't got to be butt hurt to the whole world.
hey, JT, taking Juice's point, to the maximum here. I remember you and I obviously grew up in the same community, played on a multitude of different pickup games, sports teams, actual, organized sports teams. And you were the only person that I ever always was able to walk up to, give a decent hug to, and say, good game, and felt like I appreciated actually playing against you rather than, just kind of doing it for some bullshit. And I think that, uh, to me, with the social media aspect of everything, kind of really dilutes that a little bit. Like, people kind of really forget, what it is to actually compete against, like, someone you would consider a friend. And you and I only had the opportunity to compete on the same sports team at the same time, maybe once or twice in our life. And I definitely enjoyed facing off against you on teams more than I did playing with you, just off of the camaraderie we had built. And I think that sportsmanship is kind of something that falls aside anymore. Everyone just thinks they need to have a killer mentality, and that could be something that maybe is potentially killing the sport. Dre, I know you wanted to get into this Darren Peterson talk here. I don't want to use that as a slight segue to get into that, but I kind of feel like that kind of falls into that category of a guy that's there, but is not always there for your teammates.
Like if you're gonna be in the system, you gotta be all in, man. You can't be there physically and gone mentally. Because if we don't get both of you, we're not getting all of you. I can't I can't be a boxer and I'm there mentally, but physically I'm not there. I'm there physically, but mentally I'm
Yeah.
not there. If I'm thinking about something else, I'm not thinking about the counter punches. I'm not thinking about I'm gonna get knocked out. You're gonna get defeated. You have to focus on one thing at a time. I think we live in a land where we got ADHD and Adderall and all these different reasons for why people can't focus. Sometimes you just need to tunnel in, man. You just got to zoom in on what you're doing because you got a small window to make this money. And if it's always an excuse why you're not at work, your best ability is availability. So if you're not available, we'll get somebody to replace you. Don't believe me? Tell me what Ben Simmons is doing today. Not playing
Uh,
basketball.
JT, why don't you go ahead and tell me what Ben Simmons is doing today, and then I'll give you a chance to respond to that real quick.
I have absolutely no idea what Ben Simmons is doing today. But yeah, my point on the Darren Peterson thing is I I guess it kind of on more wanted to talk about kind of the other end of the spectrum. Something that I was really impressed with and kind of felt like a really clear message is that of course BYU star player AJ DeBanza, who's I
Yes.
believe he's going to be like a top 5 pick in the NBA. He played 40 minutes against Iowa State, and in his post game press conference, he just kind of he said just the right things where if team needs me to play 40 minutes, I'm going to play 40 minutes. So it just kind of shows you it was a really refreshing situation where a lot of these NIL guys because Debanza got all these headlines, he's getting $7 million to play at BYU, and there can be a certain stigma that accompanies these guys, and
Right.
sometimes they bring them on themselves, like what's happened with
Yep.
Peterson here. So it's just nice to see that there's still guys kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum that play the game the right way and are team players and are willing to do what it takes and go the extra mile to get the dub.
Bakes, before I hit you, I just do want to say real quick, I did notice, JT, as you said in that interview, that they kind of asked him about Momcilovic and what he was supposed to do when guarding him, and he made a comment that said, "I wasn't looking for him to make less threes. I was looking for him to get off less 3-point attempts." And that I I I don't know what to say before making 15 more grunts or sounds. That's exactly what he did against Momchilovich, who is a pound for pound best 3-point shooter in the country. So to see a guy like you said, Debanza, as potentially a number 1 overall pick, play that tough against potentially the number 1 overall 3-point shooter in the country, just kind of proves his worth overall. Banks, what I'm curious to ask you about is, what do you see Debanza's overall growth getting bigger with Richie Saunders going out with the ACL tear earlier God, what was that, 2 weeks ago or whatever? But do you see his offensive growth become even more now that Saunders is kind of out of the lineup as an offensive takeaway from him?
Well, if you look at Devanta, the man is supremely talented. He's a bad baby. He can put up as many points as his team needs. He tries to play team ball as well as go out there and score some buckets. Like I said, he's like JT said, he's a potential top 5 pick. He might be number 1. Going back to the Darren Peterson situation with Bill Self as your coach, he's a hard nosed guy, and you know, DP mate, he got some character issues is what's that showing. But back to Devanta, I think he's gonna do what his team needs him to do. He doesn't really care about it. He's already solidified. He's going pro. I do see his numbers going up as he gains more confidence, especially going into the tournament. He's gonna be ready to set a mark for himself. He's gonna separate himself from the rest of the draft picks to prove that he is the number 1 pick in the draft. He was projected to go number 1 going into the college season. So it's going to be real interesting to see what he does. But I do see his numbers taking a bit of a jump. I don't know if his shooting percentage will stay as high as it is. Because when you are the man and you got to take the shots and it's all on your back, you might
Yep.
miss 4 extra shots a game, but your points will go up, 6 to 7
Yep.
more points or whatnot. So I'm just interested to see him, continue to work on his maturity and to show everybody that he deserves to be a top 5 pick. So that's how I feel about that.
It's interesting you say that. Just because I'm gonna leave you guys all 3 with this question, and then we can bury this in the dirt for now. Bakes, with what you said, do you feel the same way about Houston with Flemings? The way he goes, I'm gonna ask each of you guys a question. I'm gonna allow you to answer, and then we're gonna kind of move on a little bit. Bakes, do you feel the same way with Flemings with Houston? The way that they kind of play. I know Peterson and Flemings are both freshmen. Flemings kind of has a little more of an impact right now. Juice and JT, I am kind of curious to hear what you guys have to say about what the run KU could potentially put on if Darren Peterson plays the way he's supposed to, or if the way that he's played to this point in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is that I think it's been clear that Peterson hasn't always been a key to KU success, because I believe that game that they beat Arizona and gave Arizona their first loss of the season, I believe was that game where there was some of that drama where Peterson was like sick or kind of sick, and maybe there was some sort of confrontation
Or some
with themselves
bullshit,
before the
yeah.
game. So I mean, it's clear that to the team mindset always wins out, and I think Kansas is going to be okay either way, whether Peterson's on or not. Obviously, I'm sure they'd prefer to obviously have him in the mix, but if for some reason it's not working out or he continues to act the way he does, he can still get the job done either way.
Yeah, they seem like they're okay. Juice.
I mean, it's the University of Kansas. like there's not a lack of talented basketball players that they don't have a chance to have at the University of Kansas. But my thing is, like I said, your best ability is availability. And if you're a freshman, they already got to handle you with kid gloves, and they already saying things like you don't get along with Bill Self. If you don't get along with the coach at Kansas, is there gonna be a big clamor for a bunch of people to have you at their team next year? I don't think so. Like that's like saying that you don't get along with Rick Pitino. Like who
Now,
doesn't get along with somebody who
I
likes to
will
win championships?
hold on. I will interject. I will let you finish, but I believe any player that does not get along with Bill Self will not be playing any minutes for Bill Self within 3 months. So
And as
you might have
talented
a
as you
slightly
are,
disagreement with him, but at the end of the day, Bill Self is a winner and he wants winners. So we might disagree on one thing, but we know what the end goal is.
that's like you hiring Phil Jackson. If I'm a basketball player, you hire Phil Jackson. There's really not much that Phil Jackson can tell me that I'm not going to listen to or try it. Like he's coached Kobe, he's coached Jordan, like he's got 11 rings. Certain people know more about basketball. They've forgotten more about basketball than you'll ever know. So if there's
Absolutely.
always I'm sick or I got this going on or I got that going on, and one of the biggest things is we have to stop leaking how much these players are making through the NIL because the more millions that they make, and then you see stuff like this, it puts a situation where the fans start clamoring for you to get them up out of there. And like I said, if you can't play for self, who else are you going to play for in college basketball?
Thanks.
Well, I look at it like this: the boy believes that he's going pro. The coach is telling him, "You
Yes.
need to get in. You need to fall in line and do what the fuck I need to say."
Yes.
He's like, "Oh hell no!
Yes.
I'm Kansas basketball. You don't want me to play today? I'll sit down. I'm sick now, coach." He believes he's going pro. He's got character issues, clearly. Will he still be drafted? The boy is talented. We've
Yeah,
seen it.
he's a top five
You've
pick
seen it.
right now.
So I mean, it's just a hot mess. I think the boy needs to grow up. He needs to buckle down. He needs to be there for his team. He was recruited to play team basketball. This is not about him. Bill Self is a legend. He is an amazing coach. He has put together some amazing teams over the years. The boy needs to buckle down and get back in the mix of things.
I
It's all ego eccentric. It's all about ego. Like you're not supposed to have an
it
ego on that level, and you ain't even played 20, 21 games yourself. You're
Yeah,
supposed to be the
yeah,
starter. You're
and
supposed to be the star of the team.
you don't play 25, 30 minutes a game. Like you're getting out there for 18 minutes and then subbing out after putting up whatever.
Yeah, he's trying to play hero ball. That doesn't work, especially with a coach like Bill Self, unless he just didn't have a really good recruiting class and this is like the star. But the way he's acting, there's no room for that in college basketball. I don't want to down on the kid. He could turn it around at any time. I believe he can. I know he believes he can. Uh, I think Bill Self wants to wash his hands of the situation, but like I said,
I think he
NIL
does
money,
too. I think he does
NIL
too.
money. You know, it's kind of hard to shoot somebody down when you're already paying them money. You know what I'm saying?
Um,
Uh,
I I really want to revisit this at some point. The one thing I will leave this with is the other night against God, it had to have been Houston, right, JT? He hit a three and he kind of looked over to the sideline late in the game. Like he was Peterson is who we're talking about for those who don't have worse memory recall than me. Peterson hit a three to go up. I think it was by 3 or 5, and kind of looked to the bench immediately. And Self just kind of immediately inserted himself and pushed him back out to the court. Like Peterson was trying to call himself off after he hit that three, and Self kind of told him to stop being a bitch and go back out and play defense. So I guess I don't really know what I don't know the verification of that. I don't want to be on record for saying that, but based on what I had seen from the imagery, it kind of seemed like, I don't know, Peterson looks a little soft to me.
He's the Randy Moss of college basketball. He plays when he wants to. But the only difference is you don't have Randy Moss's skill set, and at least we haven't been able to see it.
I don't know. You hit 2 threes against Iowa State. You might as well go ahead and cash out for the NFL draft.
Well, this is what he'll do. He'll bubble wrap himself for the rest of the year. Then he'll go to the combine. He'll be the 20th pick. He'll flop in 2 years and then come back to college basketball. That's what we do now, right?
Yeah.
We
like
do
that.
now, right?
The breaking news is Charles Benedetto is not allowed back in college basketball. So I don't know how true that is anymore. But good looks on that.
Go there and flop, man. We'll come back. It's not a big deal. We'll start from scratch. It's not a big deal at all.
Dre, listen, I gotta get your reaction on the Sacramento State deal. Bakes, I know you got 1,000 things to say on this as well. JT, I think this is an opportunity for you and I to sit back, and also an opportunity for us to thank OTT Records for being a silent sponsor of the show, as well as Hybrid for always bringing you to us and us to you, as well as Self-Made, the label Music, for allowing us to hang out in their sound studios and kind of get these off-brand sports points out. But Juice, I'm really curious to hear as to what you have to say about the Sacramento State deal. And I would like to add about the North Dakota State deal, with them moving to FBS as well.
This money thing when it comes to FBS is getting crazy. So to those of you that don't know, Sacramento State has been a team for about 3-4 years now, I think. And they've been trying to push to get into Division One. So they've been accepted to the MAC conference, but there are some very unique contingencies for them to be there. First, they have to pay $18.5 million just to get into the MAC.
And they
Also,
get no
have a
dividends
contingency.
based off of that. Hold on, brother. They get no dividends based off that either.
Yeah, so that's just straight money they're just pumping straight into the MAC. Then they have to pay for the teams in the MAC to travel to California to play them, which I'm also assuming they have to pay for their own travel to get to the MAC teams to play them as well. So, what is this deal, and at what point do they recoup any of the money that they spent to go to the Mid American Conference, although they are almost completely adjacently Pacific Northwest? Doesn't make any sense to me, and I think they got screwed out the deal. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is that like they chose to do all this stuff. So
Yes.
I don't know. Like it's nothing that the MAC forced them to do. I mean, it's really kind of what they had to do to make the offer enticing. So I mean, I don't know if it's fair to say that they got screwed, but it's just more was it worth it? I mean, that's the thing that it's gonna come down to. I mean, obviously, Sacramento State clearly has a lot of money behind it right now. Shaquille O'Neal is the general manager, like we talked about last week, and of course the head coach is Mike Bibby. So certainly there's some money coming into that. So I mean, it's a risk, man. I guess it's a gamble. I guess that's really what it comes down to. I don't think it's going to pay off, but it's certainly a gamble.
Baked, what is what do you think about that? And do you think that that type of move has anything to do with maybe what North Dakota State has announced here in the last? I mean, both these moves came within 2 weeks. So, do you think they both have anything to do with each other, or do you think it's something that is it's kind of a money grab type deal?
I don't understand the money grab angle if we're just paying money just to be places. It sounds like it's crazy work. Um, it's like a bad deal that you have to take. I mean, I don't know. They must got a lot of money, like JT said. Shaq is like the president of basketball. You know, Shaq is a very, very wealthy man. He comes in and he fixes companies on a regular basis. We all know that D1 sports is big business. So
Mm-hmm.
it's real interesting. It seems like they got the raw end of the deal, but it seemed like they were ready for the jump and they want to make noise and be relevant. And you can't be mad at them for that. But as
Yeah,
far
I
as
think.
the
Oh, sorry.
go ahead, JT.
No, I was gonna say I think what it comes down to is I think that the reason that these teams are taking these risks is that there's this sense in college basketball that at some point something's got to give and there's going to need to be some retraction. There's going to need to be some relegation, and ultimately schools are trying, basically anybody, schools, players, coaches are going to want to get to the highest conference possible, because at some point um, there's going to have to be a line
The
that's
dominoes
drawn
are going to
somewhere.
fall. The
There's going to
dominoes
have to
are
be
going to
a
fall.
line that
Yeah.
there's going to be a line that gets drawn somewhere, and basically, these conferences below us, we just can't support them anymore. There's not enough money to go around. We've had to infuse so much cash into these higher levels that we're just we're not able to support the entire system. So I think that's what it comes down to, is that they're spending a lot of money just to stay afloat. It's kind of like a Noah's Ark situation. At some point, that flood's going to come, and they want to make sure that they got a spot. And so, it's clear that a lot of schools are willing to risk a lot to make sure that they're going to have at least a chance at the spot. Now, the thing that sucks is that I don't even know if the MAC is one of those schools that's like a guaranteed safe spot for North Dakota State. I don't know if the Mountain West is a conference that's one of those safe. Mountain West is a little safer than the MAC, but yeah,
I
that's
almost
where
feel
it's
like they
tough.
should have switched. Like Sacramento should be in the Mountain West, and North Dakota should be in the back. But I feel like it was a situation where they had to buy in. Like you have to buy in to get into the MAC, so you can show yourself. So 2 3 years from now, you can get into the Pac-12 or the Big Ten or
Yes.
something like that. Like you paying to play,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
If any of these schools like North Dakota State or Boise State or even an Oregon State or a Washington State want to try and push themselves back into the conversation of being a major school, they're going to have to create their own type of Power Five conference, because at this point you have been shut out from the four conferences of the ACC, the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Big 12. And if you really look at the dichotomy of the way that these schools work, uh, they have kind of really shut out West Coast schools. So
Right.
it's kind of up to the West Coast schools to recreate their own type of entertainment value to be able to maybe stabilize, the fifth power conference at this point,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
would.
and I guess don't forget that the Pac-12 is getting the band back together. Obviously, the Pac-12 is reforming under a lesser conference, and I think one thing that'll be interesting to
Yes.
see is really where the new Pac-12 is able to place itself in reference to the other conferences. Obviously, it's going to be at the absolute best in that number 5 spot. But yeah, obviously they're going to still have Washington and Oregon State, or Washington State and Oregon State, and then
Yes.
they're adding Boise State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Gonzaga's finally making the jump, San Diego State, Texas State, and Utah
Texas
State.
State.
So yeah,
But see, the
kind
thing
of the
is,
outlier there.
North
it's not gonna
Texas.
work
Hey,
though.
shout out North
No,
Texas
not North
real quick.
Texas, Texas State, Texas State.
It's not gonna work
Hey,
though, because the only way that the new
shout out North
Pac-12
Texas
works
though.
is if you do it like the Big Ten. You have to go from coast to coast. They're gonna have to have the team start in California and end in New York, end in Florida. And if it doesn't go coast to coast, you're not gonna get the respect, because now Notre Dame has a new contingency to basically, if they win 10 to 11 games, they get into the playoffs automatically, just because they're pissed about what happened with the ACC last year. Which I'm like, if that's how you feel, just go to the ACC and win it.
Well, just
But
what I got.
you want to get your independent money, because you don't want to share that money if you win a national championship in the ACC with all the other teams in the ACC. If I stay independent, I get that whole 20 mil to myself. So now you're going to start to see it come out the front end and the back end. You got teams buying in to get into the MAC, but you're going to have Michigan and Ohio State buying out to go to independence, because when Michigan wins a national championship, Ohio State gets some of that money. Ohio State wins a national championship, Michigan gets some of that money. And they're both tired of sharing money with each other.
Yeah, I just don't think they'll be able to beat that TV money, though. I mean, these Big Ten schools are getting $70 million from their media partners. I just don't ever see that any school, even like an Ohio State or Michigan, would be able to kind of recoup that by going. I don't know exactly how much Notre Dame gets from NBC. I'm guessing it's not $70 million, but
It's
obviously
for sure not.
Notre Dame has a very strong alumni base where they're able to draw from that. So I think conferences are here to stay. I think the concept of them might need to change a little bit, but it'd be risky. And I mean, I get the logic, I get the mindset. I just think it'd be really risky for any school to go independent at this point.
Very excellent
Bakes,
point.
I guess the one thing I have to ask you is, do you see any sort of monetary value coming out of adding extra teams? Or maybe, I know they've talked about it recently, in subtracting teams from the Big Ten. To me, at this point, I don't think you subtract any teams. I think if I'm in the Big Ten, I'm in the Big Ten. You can't kick me out forcibly unless I decide to go somewhere else. But they're kind of getting back to this money deal. Am I gonna take a deal for less money, potentially, to help an Ohio State get more money in the future?
All right, check this out. The Rutgers been in the Big Ten for a long time, right? They're
Yes.
losing $18 million a year.
Yes.
They're losing $18 million a year. Do they belong in the Big Ten if they can't even get their books right?
Well, hold on.
Time out. If they can't get their priorities straight, and how are you losing $18 million a year? Because their
Well,
fan
hold
base
on.
isn't doing what they need to do to keep those numbers up. Go ahead, Josh. You clearly cut me off every segment that you added me in. You cut me off, then you went to JT, then you bounced to Uncle Juice, and you're like, Victor, I got something for you. JT, you go. And Uncle Juice, you go. So, I mean, if you're gonna let me cook, you go ahead and cook, man.
No, I just want to ask you this
Go
one
cook, Roberts.
question.
Go cook.
Is Rutgers, did they ever deserve that point in the Big Ten to begin with?
How do you get in the Big Ten, Slim?
With your market size.
Okay, they're there, right? So they obviously belong there, right?
Do they?
Well, they're there, right?
They were there.
You just talked about teams in the Big Ten being there, and they're not going to go anywhere, because why would they want to give up that money?
Because the Big Ten doesn't see the market size that they have available for the teams that they've already put the investment into. That's why Rutgers always is the if so fact so team for why we decide if we're not going to do equal revenue sharing anymore in the Big Ten is because of Rutgers. Like any
The last
single
big thing they won was a females NCAA basketball championship.
and that was
You were in
that
high
was
school or probably elementary.
yeah,
I
that
don't know.
was what was that?
You're
What
a
was
bit
that?
younger than me. That's the whole
Yeah.
Don Imus situation when he was calling people
Yes, I
nappy
was
headed
Oh
hoes.
god.
that.
So
Oh
I
god.
mean, I'm not trying to hate on Rutgers, but Rutgers is getting shitted on in the Big Ten financially, and yeah, I mean, do they deserve to be there? I mean, they're there for a reason. So, it's not fair, bro. Just like when Nebraska was playing in the Big 12, Texas was getting all the money. Iowa State wasn't getting money like Texas was until Texas
Oh hell
lost.
no, they
May,
weren't.
maybe that reset some things. I'm not sure. I don't have the figures.
We could do a deep dive here later in the future, but from what I've read, JT, I don't know if you can confirm this, but it sounds like the Longhorn Network might have saved the Big 12.
Yeah, because I think Texas would have left to the Pac-12 if they weren't able to do the Longhorn
And then
Network thing.
Oklahoma
So
would have followed right behind them, and then there would have been a mass exodus between Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Missouri, and obviously Nebraska, which already happened anyways. But I think the Longhorn Network might have actually saved the Big 12 for the long term, even though this is where we sit now.
There's something that y'all keep forgetting when it comes to Rutgers. Okay, if you go to Rutgers, Rutgers makes $20 million just being in the Big Ten. So if they lose 18, they netted $2 million, bro. It's not the greatest
Yeah, but
math, but the math is kind of mathing. Like we lost 18, we gained two. We'll just keep stacking this two every year.
how many years does
They
that
need
work
to
over?
be taken out of the Big Ten, bro. They got to be taken out the Big Ten. Like put them in Conference USA or something, man. They're not helpful, and they're just stealing revenue from other teams that actually deserve it. Matter of fact,
yeah,
put Rutgers and Maryland in Conference USA or the American Conference. Nobody would bat an eye. Nobody would bat an eye if they were in the American Conference. They might actually win the American Conference. Like you got to compete against is like East Carolina and North Texas. Like,
yeah.
but they
I think
gotta
it'll
be
be
disbanded. They gotta go, man. Because if we make $20 million just to be in there, and you're losing 18, that means your program is making $2 million a year
JT.
and losing
yeah.
18.
I think it'll be interesting to see if conferences start to, because I guess I don't know off the top of my head how it works when it comes to kind of kicking a member out of the league, if there has to be a certain cause situation, or I would assume at least you would need a pretty significant majority, maybe like a super majority vote. I don't exactly know how that works. So the two things to look for in upcoming conference discussions, if conferences decide to bite the bullet and pursue kicking some of these weak links out, or what's probably more likely because it's a little less
Mm,
messy, is of course unequal revenue sharing, where hey, we'll let you stay
mm.
in the conference, but you're not going to get as, Rutgers, you're not going to get as much as Ohio State. I think
Yeah, and how long is
that
that
might
going
be
to
the
work?
compromise. That might be the compromise that keeps things out of the courtroom a little bit.
Bakes, what do you think is the right the right path of resurrection here, I guess. I don't know. I guess are we moving to two super leagues and we call it whatever, or do you think there's a way to resurrect this so that Rutgers can still play football but not have to hemorrhage excuse me, $20 million a year.
If there's already 4 conferences that run everything, then that's what it's going to turn into later on. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
4 major conferences. They're going to all add teams to the conference. The conference is going to be deep as hell. Then they're going to expand the games, and they're going to be playing more games. Then they're going to have to expand the playoffs and all this and that. I mean, it's really, really hard to say. You know, I honestly think it's a lot of teams do get an unfair shake, just like we talked about Sacramento State. Like they wanted to join a D1 conference, and then they just told them, like, you got to give us everything. You got to get naked and get strange with the nude. You know, we want all that
Yeah,
stuff.
and they said
So
yes.
I mean,
That's the crazy thing.
so
They said yes.
it's really hard to tell, man. I can't even really answer that question.
JT, Juice, you guys got any final thoughts on this? I know Juice has got one more thing on his mind he wants to get to tonight that I want to get to. So I will leave you guys with the final thoughts on this, and then we can kind of move into the final thought process tonight.
I got
I
nothing
think the
else. I
only
think
way
we
to
can
fix
move
this
on.
situation is with parity. You have to have parity. You need it to where it's like 6 good teams in each conference, and then the rest are just the rest. And those 6 teams just bang it out because it's going to become like Bake said, is you're going to have 4 super conferences, and then everybody else is just there playing for scratch. So if we don't figure out a way to bring parity into college football, it's just going to be those 4 super conferences where everybody plays everybody, and every game is like a playoff game. It's basically going to be 4 SECs.
I will leave it with this: is that unfortunately kind of seems to be the way college basketball is going at this point. If you're a top 8 team in your conference, it seems like you're pretty much guaranteed an in. Miami of Ohio is 28-0 or something along those lines right now, and they are barely cracking the 5 seed line. I think the one thing that we should all recognize, remember, and reminisce on is a 28-0 team. Miami of Ohio Red Hawk basketball team back in 2005 would have been a 3 seed. And if they have the potential of losing their conference tournament and maybe not even making March Madness right now. And I know we used to all call it tournament, but I guess we'll use the PC title of it now, which is March Madness, because if I don't say March Madness, anyone that doesn't recognize college basketball doesn't recognize what the hell I'm talking about. So Miami of Ohio, they deserve some respect for what they've done so far this year. And they're not a team. I hope they're an 11 seed. I would love to see them shock the world, more or less. However you want
I
to
mean,
put
their
it.
record is the record. The game is the game. Like you
Yeah,
cannot
the
get
game is.
respected. You got to go out there and ball. You got to go out there and make them respect you, bro. Like we ain't 28-0 for no reason. People plotting on our downfall. We just got to go out there and cook. But when they get in the tournament and they go up against that big dog, don't go out there and wet the bed.
Yep. And what happens if they win?
Exactly. Because once they roll the balls out, anybody can win the game, man. Shots go up, shots go down, and it is what it is.
All right, Dre. I know you wanted to get to this this one last piece here tonight. This will be our final topic. I promise. I know everyone's got places they got to be tonight. But Dre, I'm gonna go ahead and let you lead in on this here, and you tell us what the hell's going on with this right now.
First of all, thank you so much for putting up the graphic. I've been talking about this all week. This is completely egregious. Floyd Mayweather needs money. I think right now Floyd Mayweather might be on the streets of Las Vegas,
How is he
walking around with
broke?
some boxing trunks on. He might be in Vegas walking around with some boxing trunks on, some boxing gloves around his neck, and a sign that says "We'll fight for food." He's suing Showtime for $350 million right now, bro. He made terrible, terrible investments, and now he has to fight for money. And the crazy thing is, him and Pacquiao are so old. And before this, he's gonna fight Mike Tyson in an exhibition fight. But this fight that you're seeing the graphic for is
Hold
sanctioned
on.
and is a
Hold
real
on.
fight, bro.
Hold on. He's gonna fight Tyson before this fight?
Yes,
Or
sir, because Netflix needs to give him some money. He needs money. And this is my problem. The last person Floyd Mayweather knocked out was his baby mom. So how is he gonna make these two fights happen? That's just public record. Floyd, you can come at me. You don't have any money, so I don't know how you're gonna sue me. But yeah, that's just public record. But these two dudes combined age got to be well over 100 years old. Manny Pacquiao is like a ain't he like a foreign diplomat in his
no,
country
he's
or
a
something?
politician. No, he's a politician in the Polynesian Islands, I'm pretty sure.
And he still trains. So I hope Floyd is training right now because if you get knocked out by a politician for money, that's not good, bro. Like at this point, you fighting off your legacy, man. You're 50 and oh. We've watched you pull out hundreds and hundreds of dollars, pull out $1 million in jewelry. You didn't invest none of that wisely.
Hey, listen, tell me, how is your record at this point in your life less than your age?
Less than your net worth right now because you made a lot of terrible investments. Like
Okay,
when you was
well,
making all that. Floyd can't read, man. So you know people was just putting contracts in front of him like sign this. Okay, cool. Get
you
somebody
can't
in here who can read Floyd.
you can't put $400 million on a table and then tell me that you somehow lost that $400 million. Dude, I don't know if I could burn $400 million that quick.
You could give me $400 million. It would take me a minimum of probably 25 years of my life to go through that.
I
It's
think I would struggle. I think I would struggle to kill that money.
like I would have to give some of it away to other people. And we've seen Floyd, and that's why I don't feel sorry for Floyd because you were so arrogant about flossing the amount of money that you make. Now you have to fight for food. You fighting to get a meal, brother, because that's how much you tricked off your money. Like just look at the graphic, bro. Just sit there and look at that graphic. You want I feel like the Native American dude when they used to throw trash on the road in the 80s and he had the little tear coming down his face. You should be talking about boxing. You shouldn't be fighting people still.
I
Like,
think
and his whole thing is not getting hit. So what happens if Pacquiao just cracks him one real quick?
I think if we get to any amount of pointed conversation about you, and 3 of the 4 people that have cameras on them have a hand on their face, I think we've kind of reached a point where don't worry, Bakes. I seen you pull your thumb down from your chin there.
I'm good.
But
My thumb was never on my chin.
yeah,
This
I
nigga's
think
making
we've
shit
reached
up at this point. Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
think we've reached a point
Yeah, man,
where
that's crazy. Who's touching their chin?
man,
Yeah, that's clear.
I don't know, man. This
well,
Pacquiao situation is savage, man. I hope Floyd makes better investments with the money that Netflix gives him for this. Because the only people I can see spending money on this is Netflix. If they'll give Adam Sandler the bag to make movies, they'll give Floyd a little bit of money.
apparently they'll give anyone money to make make movies. All right, well, um, we've reached a portion again where we got to thank some sponsors. Vic, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take the reins this time, and then I'm gonna go ahead and give you the reins to bring us
No,
home
thank
and
you.
land the plane.
No, thank you. That's too much. Too much rain. You go ahead, Robert.
All right. Well, how about this? How about this? You go ahead and thank the sponsors, and then I'll land the plane.
No, you go ahead, bro.
All right. Well, once again, we are proudly coming to you from I don't know where to point anymore. One of these two areas, the Self-Made Sound Studios. We're always brought to you by Hybrid Promotions down below us, down here. We would like to invite you to check out our website, selfmade, the label hybrid.com. You can use the code JT and the code SLIM to get 15% off your first order in our website. I would like to thank JT himself, as always, for coming through, being who he is. I would also like to give a special shout out to Uncle Juice for coming through, bringing the energy, and Young Bakes as well for coming through tonight, talking to us. I wish we could have talked to Mr. Hybrid himself, but he's got some bigger things going on in life right now. So with no further left outs. If you guys can't tell, I'm glitching over here right now. I appreciate all y'all checking in to another episode of Friday Night Live. For the team, for Self-Made, the label music, for Hybrid Promotions, we appreciate you guys checking into us and checking us out tonight. Thank you so much.